Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. The new season is upon us. Welcome back again. Sorry we're a bit late in pure Same Old Arsenal fashion. We were having some technical difficulties. I'm trying out a new streaming software here this evening because, as we all know, Google Hangouts will be gone in November, so I'm looking for alternatives. It looks all right at the moment. Can you all hear us okay? Is the audio okay? If someone could let us know. I'm not too bothered about the picture, but as long as you can hear us is my main concern. I'm just going to wait for some comments to come in. Can you hear us all right? Good evening, Karen. Good evening, Richard. Good evening, Beyond Psychic. Oh, Beyond Psychic. What are we going to do this year? We're going to win the league. Looks good. People are saying it looks good. Does it sound good? Can hear you fine. Lovely stuff. Judges. New season, mate. A new season. But before we get going, before we start talking about the Arsenal, why don't you bore everyone for 5 minutes and tell everyone all your VIP treatments you've had since the last time we were here? Go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, shall I show you this? Look, there you go.
Oh, God, here we go. Look.
Wimbledon. Fantastic. Well, it was Wimbledon the other day. Fantastic. Like,
oh, my God. Next you'll be telling me you went to the cricket.
Oh, yeah, cricket yesterday. Essex, mind you, they're getting a bit of a stuff in Yorkshire, so that was very nice. Roast dinner and, 3-course meal was very, very nice. No champagne there, though, which is a little bit of a disappointment, but certainly made up for that at Wimbledon because we had champagne, cocktails. Oh, it was unbelievable, like, you know. So, so it's been a good couple of days, to be fair, like, you know. Had quite a good, enjoyable time, like, you know.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
Thank you very much.
A couple of people are saying that the picture's lagging. I don't care about the picture. As long as you can hear us, I don't care. As long as you can hear us, fine. Now, Lee, next new season, mate. It's a new season. Everyone's stressing out. I think we've made a signing. We signed Gabriel Martinelli. Brought him in for 6 million. Young lad, has been put straight into the first team now. I see. Seen a few pictures. And today, or since I've been looking through Twitter because I've been up ladders all day painting, it looks like we're going to sign this William Saliba, I think his name is, but we're going to loan him straight back. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I'm not too bothered about that because of, as I said earlier on, you know, that sometimes you have to look after the future as well as the present, you know. So that's not a bad thing. And if, you know, all the reports I don't really know too much about him, but all the reports that I'm hearing is the next big thing of central defenders. But I'm not going to go wild about it because they said that about Philip Senderos a few years back, like, you know, and we all know what happened there. So, you know, but let's just hope that he is the real deal. I've got to say that the young Brazilian boy does look the part as well, but you know, they're teenagers. They've certainly been bought for the future. But then you've got to go on to the present, Craig. And, you know, I honestly thought, and I'm not going to lose it quite yet because we've still got a little way to go. But I honestly thought that this season or this summer, there was going to be a real a statement from Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Something that was going to come out and just say, look, you know, this is what we're going to do. And it might well happen, you know, the talk about Zaha. But what's really annoying me is everybody thinks that we're all going to be this okay side next season. You know what I mean? This is the same bunch of players that let us down against Chelsea in the Europa League. And I said before, you know, it seems to me that you put an Adidas kit on them, all of a sudden they're going to be like fantastic. Well, if that's the case, then Man City have got the Puma kit this season, so they're going to drop down, are they? Well, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And really the big question I think it's got to be asked is, and I said it the other day, is what does this say about Emery? What does it say about him? You know what I mean? He's certainly not being back, Craig. You know what I mean? Like, and I think he's just doomed to fail. And if he does fail, he's going to be given the sack without really having the opportunity to do the job properly. And that's my opinion about him. And if that's the case, what would any decent coach want to be put around for that? And why is he putting up with it? Unless there is something in the pipeline that he has been promised signings. It's just, we go on. When do we go on tour? Is it the end of this week or next week? I'm not too sure. But, to go on that tour without any signings
end of this week.
after
end of this week.
Is it the end of this week? And to go on to this tour without any major signings, listen, I get it that other teams are finding it very, very hard to make signings. But you have to look at it, Craig, that a lot of other teams may be finding it hard because it's difficult to improve their squads. For instance, Manchester City is going to be very, very hard to improve their squad. Same with Liverpool. But, with Arsenal, we need central defenders, we need defenders, we need midfield players. And I don't know how all the Arsenal fans feel about it, but I'm sick and tired of people saying that Arsenal have got no money. Well, if that's the case, why are we letting players like Ramsey go for nothing? Welbeck go for nothing. Wiltshire go for nothing. Santi Cazorla go for nothing. And we've even let, Ospina go like this week for a measly £4 million. Colombian international goalkeeper.
An international goalkeeper,
So, it just seems like, it don't matter. We'll just get the Arsenal fans to pay for another, 50, £60 for another shirt and another one here. And then, like, want you to go out and spend something else, and then, I see it today on their Twitter feed, now they're saying, oh, don't forget the Emirates Cup, get your tickets here. They just want all the time. When are they going to give us something back? And I'm going into the season and, somebody said, oh, you don't want to disrupt the season and games if you protest. Well, what are you going to disrupt? Somebody said it was a meaningless friendly on Saturday. You know what I mean? Well, most of the league games are going to be meaningless because we're not going to do anything with them. Arsenal in any. I think, Craig. You know what I mean? And maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel that with the money that the Arsenal fans spend, with the stadium that we've got, and what all goes on, I believe that Arsenal should be challenging for a title.
Well, we should be, but the problem is we've got the wrong owner. That's the problem. We've got an owner that will not invest his own money, and I'm sick and tired of saying this to people all week. He doesn't have. I want him out as much as you do, but he doesn't have to invest in us. He has got the perfect business. We're a self-sustained football club. We spend money that we make. He hasn't got to give us nothing, and reaps the profits. This kit launch protest that happened the other day. Turkish knows I'm fully behind him, right? I've spoken to Turkish in DMs on Twitter. Turkish knows I'm fully behind him. But not buying a shirt is going to have no effect on Stan Kroenke whatsoever. Stan Kroenke's already got that £50 million in his bank account, right? So if you don't buy a shirt or I don't buy a shirt, I have, by the way. I've bought a polo shirt. I haven't bought the shirt. I'm getting a bit fat and old now for skin tight shirts. But I've bought one. But I've bought one because I do a podcast. Do you know? And I want to be branding. But I've also bought one because I wear my Arsenal shirt with pride. Anything that's got Arsenal on the badge, I wear it with pride. I want everyone to know I support Arsenal. I'm proud to support Arsenal. But 15% the club gets for every sale of a shirt, right? And the rest goes to Adidas. So if we want transfer funds, I would encourage everyone to buy a shirt.
Yeah, I get that. That's a good point. It is a good point. I just feel that there somewhere along the line you have to make a stand and say, look, I'm buying a season ticket, or I'm buying a ticket to go to the game. I'm not going to buy this and buy that, you know. And listen, you know, you have to start somewhere. Like the process that Bournemouth, when they've seen Kroenke out, has hit the paper headlines, not headlines, but it has got into some national press. Now, if you think about that, Craig, that you go to a meaningless friendly at Bournemouth and it's hitting the national papers, what's it going to be like when they do a proper game? You know what I mean? And say it is. And
I would say this to you. I would say this to you as well. Sorry to cut across you, mate. I would say this to you as well. Before we start doing protests, one massive thing has got to happen. And that one massive thing is that the fans have got to unite again. Yeah. They've got to. Forget Wenger now. Forget this Wenger in, Wenger out business. There's still a massive divide there. Where, you know, oh, you wanted Wenger out. Oh, but I wanted him to stay. You're wrong. And you know, it's still happening. Wenger's gone. That era of the club is over. It's done. He's not coming back. It's done. We need the fan base now to unite together. You look at that. I was having a shower and I was thinking about what I was going to say tonight. And that team that came to the Emirates in the Europa League, I forget who they were now, but they'd done a protest on ticket prices and none of them come in till after 15 minutes. But all of them did it because it was well organised and they were united. They all did it. Look at that Milan protest a couple of years ago. The whole of the San Siro stadium was empty. And they played a game with no fans. The fans didn't go in because they're united. They got what they wanted. Those fans that came to the Emirates now, I wish I could remember who it was now. But they wouldn't come into the Emirates till after 15 minutes. Everyone did it. They got what they wanted. They were united. Arsenal fans are not united. And it's a shame because I think if we were all united, then these protests could get bigger and they could catch fire, and they might have an impact on Stan Kroenke. I don't even want him to leave. I just want him to give us some money.
I think what's happening at the moment is that the fans are divided, Craig, because a lot of fans, and I accept this and I understand it, are waiting to say, are going down the line of, well, the transfer window's not over yet. We'll see what happens to the 8th of August. Now, I believe that if the 8th of August comes along and we've signed a couple of teenage players and not improved our defence or our squad, and we've spent no money, I personally feel that the majority will swing in favour of protests at Newcastle, and then they'll go on to Burnley. I can't see that they wouldn't, because, you know, Craig, if without swearing too much, like, you know, the club's taking the piss. As simple as that if they do that. Now, my problem is with the team is, which people have been saying, I've been listening to what people have been saying, is we can't buy anybody because we can't get rid of Mustafi, we can't get rid of Ozil, we can't get rid of Mkhitaryan, we can't get rid of so-and-so, Xhaka or whatever. So that's fair enough. So we can't get rid of them, Craig. But what we're doing then is say, all right, okay, we can't really get rid of them, but we're playing them now week in, week out in our team. But they're not good enough to be sold at any other team, but they're now playing in our team. If they're not good enough, I don't want to see them in here next season, you know? And that's it. You know, I'm fed up with giving Ozil so many chances. I'm fed up. Mkhitaryan has done absolutely nothing for us for 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, taking them two alone are taking 500 grand, over 500 grand a week out of our football club, £500,000 a week. You know what I mean? Like, come on, Craig. You know what I mean? Get, you know, either pull your finger out or get out. You know what I mean? And we've not had that, and all the things I can see mismanagement going from before and what after. Now we are in a state. The club's in a state. Now, if you was and this is what I'm going about Kroenke, right? Is that we're in a state where financially, whatever, come along and save us. for whatever reason, under your regime, you've cocked up with all these transfers and all that. Come in and say, do you know what? We're in a little bit of trouble. There's 100 million, right? In a year's time, 2 years' time, I want it back. I'll have it back. But we desperately need it now. You know what I mean? And then when we're successful and we're winning trophies and we're earning loads and loads of money, take it back.
Yeah.
But at this moment in time, we are in dire straits where we're in problems. Now, I don't give a monkeys when anybody says about it. If your business is in trouble and you've got personal money, you pump money into it to keep it afloat and whatever, like, you know what I mean? You do that. That's what people do. That's what business people do. And when good times come around again, you start earning from it. Now, it comes to the thing where I'm not saying that he should be, you know, this self-sustained stuff and everybody goes on about it and all that. Like, who brought that into it? Whose idea was it? And I don't, you know, and I've heard people going, oh, you wanted the self-sustained. No, I've never wanted it. I've never wanted it. All I've wanted is my team to be successful. I want my team, you know. I know that there's people out there that have to give up certain things, right, to go to the Arsenal. Now, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Some can't go out during the week. Some have to give up girlfriends because they can't afford them and whatever, blah, 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 to watch the Arsenal. They sacrifice so that they've got their money for that season ticket or that game up at Newcastle or whatever. Scrimp and save, right? And then the club are not prepared to do that on the back of that, Craig. They're not prepared to skimp and save or put their money in there, like, you know. Oh, we'd rather not do that. But we're that, you know. But come Newcastle, it'll be packed up there with fans that have had to scrimp and save. You know what I mean? You know, Craig, it's not cheap to get up to Newcastle. You know what I mean? It's £80 to £100 on the train. Time you pay your tickets, £200-300. People have to give up, sacrifice other things to follow Arsenal. Now, I'm not saying that gives you the goddamn right to be successful, but what it does is it gives you you want to see something come back. So if the club haven't got no money, that's fair enough. If they was at Highbury and that was scrimping and saving, it'd be understandable. But we've moved to this club, to this new ground that's coughing up thousands and thousands of pounds, millions every home game. You know, I know some people, Craig, that are paying £4,300 for a season ticket. You know what I mean? And what are they getting? You know, a no-show from Ozil and Mkhitaryan, 2 minutes of flash. You know what I mean? It ain't good enough. You know, give the fans something they deserve. And if you was an owner that cared, you would do that. Now, Abramovich, you know what I mean, for all his whatever, you know, cares about Chelsea. Look at Liverpool 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know how long it was. You know, they tried to hike their season ticket prices and up to I think about £10 less than Arsenal's. And they all protested, Craig. They all piled out of the ground. And look at Liverpool now. You know, and people say, oh, you're not going to get rid of Stan Kroenke. I get that. But what you can send a message to that man is that we are Arsenal fans and we're not happy. We are not going to be taken the piss out of all of that. And I don't give a monkeys what anybody says. If the game against Burnley, if we've spent, I don't know, £50 million, just say, for instance, we've spent £50 million. On the 50th minute, everybody just walk out that ground. So from 50 minutes, it's empty. You know, everybody does it. It sends a message to everybody. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, everybody walks out. I'm not saying they have to walk out for the whole game. Just walk out for 5 minutes or 5 minutes before half time or 5 minutes after, you know, like when the second half comes out, no one goes out there. Now, people turn around and say, oh, will that affect the league performances? Oh, that ain't going to help the team and all that. If we spend no money in the transfer window, Craig, is it going to help the team and help the club in the long run? No, it's not. You know, you've got to now start looking at it. If you're an Arsenal fan, you've got a love for the club, you know, you've got to start doing something. Now, I understand what people are saying at this moment in time, and I respect everybody's opinion on it. But come that first game, if that club has not spent any money, now don't forget, Craig, they've had, as you just quite rightly said, £60 million on July the 1st has gone into the Arsenal bank account because that's how it is, right? So there's £60 million there. You know, that's without the TV stuff and all that, you know. And Aston Villa of today spent £25 million. They've been in the Championship for the last 2 years, Craig. What the goddamn would happen to us if God forbid, you know, the way it's going, we keep dropping and we get relegated? We'd be in oblivion. You know what I mean? You know, things are not right. We're not being run right. How can Aston Villa have more money than us and be in the Championship for 2 years? Bournemouth. Have you ever?
They've got a nice parachute payment, didn't they?
Well, yeah, all right. So that's great. You know, I mean, we get that we get that by coming fifth this season. We get a big payment of 60, 70 million just for coming sixth. You know, you get 90 million for coming. I think it's, I don't know how many million it is for, you know, 30, 40 million for coming bottom. You know, and you look at Bournemouth, Craig. You know what I mean? Like their ground holds 12, 13,000. I'm not sure how many it holds. Like, you know what I mean? They're spending money. How can a club like Bournemouth, you know, when I can tell you this now, it's £1 to park in their car park. £1. You know what I mean? Spending money. They're not taking it away from Arsenal, their fans, all the time. And we'll have to say this. You know, people turn around to you and say, oh, well, don't go no more. It's very hard saying that. You know what I mean? You know, it's not like they know that they've got you, Craig. They know you can't change your club. You can't, you know, I've said it before, like, you know what I mean? If you're shopping in Tesco's and all of a sudden the same shopping is at Sainsbury's and it's £100 cheaper, you're going to go to Sainsbury's. You can't do that with Arsenal. You can't go say, oh, do you know what? They're taking the mickey now. I'll go and support Spurs because they've just gone to spend. It just doesn't work like that. And they know that. And I know you say about the shirts and all that, but you imagine if you're sitting on the boardroom, just sitting up on the board, looking over at the Emirates, right? Oh, do you know what? Stan, we ain't spent a penny yet. You know what I mean? Yeah, we ain't, have we? Look, and look at all of them out there, queuing up, ready to spend their money. And we haven't spent a penny. This is great, this, isn't it? What, do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I'll tell you what, put a game on at the Emirates. See how many we can flog out of that. Because that game at the Emirates is not really for the season ticket holders that go week in, week out. It's for the ones that don't get the opportunity to go everywhere. Oh, I'll take my kids there. Or I'll take my... Oh, it's a more of a money-making scheme for them. And unless the Arsenal fans turn around and say, do you know what? Enough's enough. We've got to do something. It will continue. I can't see it changing.
It's worrying, you know, especially when we see things like Leicester has just spent 40 million. Everton are bidding on players. West Ham are bidding on players. You know, putting in big bids. Yeah, it's frustrating. I've got to say thank you to Michael. Thanks for the donation, Michael. Thanks very much indeed, mate.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. 207 of you watching. Unbelievable. Thanks for. It's pretty mad, to be honest. We're not even in the midst of things, and we're getting the numbers already. I've missed doing it actually. I just hope to God by the time we get to the new season, I'll get this streaming thing sorted out, because it's so frustrating trying to listen to Lee, but he looks like Max Headroom on the screen. But like I said before, I'm doing it now. I'm looking like him as well. As I said before, as long as you can hear us, that's all I'm worried about. As long as you can hear what's being said. Okay, look, we've spent a little bit of time talking about doom and gloom and Stan Kroenke and what's got to happen. And you've come up with some great points, mate. I think we can agree that it's about time the fans started to unite. It's about time people put down the pitchforks and, you know, whatever you feel about a certain YouTube channel or certain people or whatever. It's time to unite now. We're all Arsenal supporters, and we all want what's best for the club. Surely it's time to unite. And I'm pretty sure that 90% of Arsenal fans want Kroenke to go. I'm pretty sure of it. whether you were Wenger in, Wenger out, whether you were this, whether you were that. I'm pretty sure 90% of the people would want him gone. So it's time to unite. It really is. And I can't do nothing. All I can do, well, I can, I suppose. I can use this podcast as a platform to tell, to get people together, and if you're going to do protests and this and that. But I don't live in London, and it's hard for me to get there. If there was protests and I lived in London, I'd be there, But it's time for the fan base to unite now. I'm not going to say it again. That's what's needed. We all need to come together for the love of the club, and put our differences aside. Now, while we've been talking about the doom and gloom, let's talk about some more positive things. The lad from Brazil, I think, Gabriel Martinelli, £6 million still. Dubbed the next Cristiano Ronaldo. Not really. I just said that myself. £6 million, Lee. It's a good deal. Saw a picture off the Arsenal Twitter account there the other day. The young lad Saka was in the first team as well.
Yeah, good player.
Eddie's just been promoted to the first team, given a first team squad number, and Reece Nelson has been officially promoted to the first team. Four young, exciting players there, Lee.
Yeah, and that's what you want, isn't it? Like, I'm a big believer now of going with the youth. Would you
like to tell us why they're young and exciting?
Well, because they've come through the academy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? I like the look of. Can you hear me or not? I like the look of Reece Nelson's done well in Germany, so I think from that point of view, I think that he's
there's massive lag, but carry on, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, he's exciting. He's a player that can take on players. It's something that we've needed. I don't think that he's going to play week in, week out. I hope that the Arsenal fans back him like they should do, not so much like they have done with Iwobi. There's going to be times when he's going to make mistakes, but I'd like to see him, playing in the Europa League games, coming through those games. I think that the new Brazilian boy, I'd like to see him playing in these Europa League games. We're in the Europa League, so let's use it to our advantage and get these kids some real proper game time. Joe Willock done very, very well for us in some games at the back end of the season. I'd like to see him playing. I'll say it now. I'd like to see Callum Chambers be given an opportunity as well. He done very, very well at Fulham. I'd like to see him be given an opportunity. But it is, I think, always good, whether you're an Arsenal fan or whoever you support, when there's kids coming through the academy, you've got some sort of feeling towards them from to be successful, and we've not had that enough as far as I'm concerned, like players coming through. I'm really desperate to see Maitland-Niles playing in a proper position, Craig. If he's going to be the replacement for Aaron Ramsey, then so be it, because I want to see him in that role, see what he does. And yeah, I'm excited about seeing the younger players play. You know what I mean? So Smith Rowe's another one that I think deserves more of a few opportunities, and I'd rather see them, Craig, making mistakes and learning and getting better than seeing Koscielny, Mustafi, Xhaka continuing to make mistakes and not improving. And so, that's how I feel now. I'm done with all of those guys. I really am. After that Europa League final, I'm totally done with all of them that started. You know what I mean? Like, somebody said to me, was it the other day? If you was given a shirt in a competition, what name would you have on the back? And I went, well, I'd have Rocastle, Wright, Campbell, or Vieira. I wouldn't have one of their names on the back. Not one. Not one.
can't disagree. Yeah, I can't disagree with you, mate. I can't disagree with you. I mean, I'm very excited about those 4 young lads. I'm with everyone else. I'm very excited about them, and I'm excited about them as well because I've seen, watching Ajax there last season in the Champions League. Their side is so young. It's full of passionate youngsters. They're probably all, they've been split up though, unfortunately, because they were so good. If that happens at Arsenal, then so be it. But is the squad that we've got now, is it actually that bad, or are we just, with the players that we've got coming back and the players that